Hey y'all, Sherry with Sherry's World. So, this is going to continue from when I'm in the hospital. And I was in the hospital for 2 weeks with my stem cell transplant. Each day, they're checking the numbers and making sure levels are where they need to be. A port back in August was put into the right side of my chest, so they were able to put the medicines in. Take blood, whatever they had to do. Honestly, I wish I could have just keep the port because, again, as I said, my veins they roll, and I hate needles with a passion. But anyway, this is mostly going to be about my friend Louise. I will say her first name. I won't give all of her name. She is a retired nurse, and we initially met on our a European tour that I do each year with my friend Bryson. He pulls together different singers, about 20 of us. We learn the music on our own, and then we meet up either in the city we're flying out of that goes overseas, or sometimes we don't get a chance to really rehearse until we get to the city, the country, Spain, wherever we're going. And sometimes we're rehearsing on the bus, we're rehearsing in the hotels, and then we do the sound check. And sometimes we rehearse literally at sound check for our first concert, depending on how everything went. Travel, whole 9 yards. But anyway, getting off subject just a little bit. So that's how we met. I think we've known each other now, I guess, about 4 years at this point. I think we met around 2017. Oh, excuse me. And we did the Spain tour, and we've been friends ever since. Well, fast forward to 2022. Yeah, the tour in 2022, because I told you I went in 21, but I didn't really get the word, if you will, about my diagnosis with multiple myeloma until December of 2022, which is right before I was preparing to leave to go out of the country. So when he gave me the definitive, that, hey, what we were watching or wondering about years ago has developed. And so I didn't tell anybody, and my husband knew, of course, and my sister knew. I hadn't told my sons yet because I didn't want to drop that news on them, as I said in the earlier video, and then be gone for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and they're dealing with that. But like I said, I wish I had, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So my friend Louise offered, well, let me back up a little bit. And I'm going to go over my 3 minutes, so just be prepared. um, she was there, and like I said, she had been on the cruise with me earlier. And when we were finally, I think, had arrived in Barcelona's airport, and we had to wait for the charter bus to come pick us up. And so a lot of us took the chance to either try to find something to eat or, go to the bathroom, whatever we needed to do. And so I decided to walk a little bit because standing there, I was just getting stiffer and stiffer. I said, I'm going to move. And I think I'm going to go ahead and try to find the bathroom. She said, okay, I'll walk with you. And because of that, I said, okay, I think that's my sign. So as we were walking, and I said, hey, I want to share something with you. Since I know you're a retired nurse, and you might not know every single thing about it, but at least you'd be aware. And I told her about the diagnosis, and I could tell it hit her. And I was like, I'm so sorry. She said, no. She said, I'm glad you, felt comfortable enough to share it with me. And, we talked a bit. She said, at least I know what to look out for, and I just kind of keep an eye on you, and making sure you're eating and getting enough fluids and blah blah blah. And kind of told her a few other things that had transpired up until that point. So it was good to be able to have someone to share it with. But again, I didn't want to bring down the whole group. I didn't want it to be all about me. I wanted us to do what we were doing for the tour, which was to uplift the people with God's word and music. So the gospel choir that we were to be there to sing, that's what I wanted that focus to be. Well, we made it through the tour. I made sure I rested as much as possible. I think I told you earlier about the cane that I ended up getting, and it came right back on tour with me last year. I made sure. Oh, that's right. Was that 22? That was 22's. Yeah. So I got the cane. So I thank God that I had that with me, and that kept me kind of steady. So I guess this really does go back to December of 2022, and then everything that I've already shared about that. But anyway, now we're in September 2023, and I guess it was about. Well, let me back up. I guess it was about June. Yeah, maybe June of 2023, and I told her what they wanted me to consider. And I said, I really don't want to do any of this. And she knew I was especially after the neuropathy had started setting in because of the chemo. And so I'm like, I don't want to do this. And I want to feel my feet and legs again. I don't want to feel like Frankenstein's or Frankenstein's monster. I feel like Herman Munster, if you if you remember him from way back in the day. That's how heavy my legs and feet feel. I said, I'm over this. But she was, like most folks, pray about it and, seek God, he'll let you know. But she also knew my frustrations. So she said, if you do decide to do the stem cell, she offered to come here to Nashville and be with me after I got out of the hospital and be my main caregiver. I gotta say it again. She offered to give her time. Of course, I was like, "Oh, girl, I can't ask you." She said, "You didn't ask. I offered." And it reminded me of a favorite line from one of the movies that I love. And I laughed. I said, "Well, you're right. You did offer." I said, "But that's such a big commitment of your time." And she actually offered up to 60 days, which would have been November. And I was like, surely I wouldn't need her that long. And I can't allow her to do that. So we settled on 30 days. And I said, once we figure out when I'll be getting out of the hospital, then we'll get that figured out. And somebody just knocked on my door. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. So, so she offered, and we settled on the dates once we could figure out when I would be getting out of the hospital, and then how much time she would need, or could be here and what date. So she ended up coming the day that I checked out of the hospital, which worked out perfectly. I think she was able to. I don't think she was able to hear the instructions directly from the doctor, but from the nurses and the PAs who were on, at the hospital. She was able to get instructions from them. She knew the lingo and the whole 9 yards. And man, I know I couldn't have made it without her. I mean, don't get me wrong, other people, were there, my husband, my sons, but invaluable. Invaluable. So along the way, and this is going to really end up being long, I'm going to either cut it up or I'm just going to put it up as it is. So I hope you'll stick with me as I go through this journey about her. And like I said, I might end up cutting it up a little bit. But she was there for me. She made sure that I ate. She made sure I was taking my meds. She made sure that I was getting enough fluids. She took me to every single doctor's appointment. I mean, I get out of the hospital, and it's either the next day or 2 days later, I had a doctor's appointment. I'm like, why don't y'all just leave me in the hospital? You know what I mean? If you're going to keep doing the same things. But she took me to every appointment. I made sure that she had the car that my son and I share, so that she could get me, to and from those appointments. And then probably about 2 weeks into that, the doctor's appointments, and I also had physical therapy to come into play. And she was taking me to that. I mean, she was there for everything. And a friend of ours, her dad had retired and gone to live with his son down in Texas. And so she kind of turned his house into like a Airbnb situation, and which was good. So when I got out of the hospital, we went there because where I live has steps, and and I knew I wouldn't be ready for those. So we were able to stay there, which is one level. I think I had like 3 steps to negotiate to get it up into the house, and I learned how to do that with the walker. Going up wasn't as bad as coming down. I had to learn how to come down with the walker, but like I said, everything worked out, and there would be some days she had to kind of hold me or push me, whichever the case may be. But when I tell you she held me down, Louise held me down. She washed the linen. She made sure that I had a new fresh towel every single day. So you know how much washing she was doing. So she was washing, she was cooking or picking up food. Some people offered to bring, some food, but I had to be careful of that. I couldn't eat salads, because they didn't, because we don't know what the process was for other people cleaning the lettuce, or couldn't do deli meats because they didn't know how often the blade was being cleaned, between the different meats and the cheeses. I mean, there was so much stuff that you wouldn't even think about. At least I wouldn't have ever thought about. So there was a lot of foods I had to avoid. Plus, on top of that, all the stuff that my body was naturally rejecting, like it didn't want it. And ooh, she and I had a time, and that's definitely gonna be on another video. But yeah, she was there for me, and I thank God for her being with me. She left, I think, October 10th, and I was like, was it Ruth and Naomi? Yeah, Ruth and Naomi in the Bible. Beseech me not to leave thee. Don't leave me, please. Don't leave me. So yeah, I'm thankful for Louise being my caregiver, my primary caregiver. I could not have done this without her. No way. And the other people I need to thank, but I had to spotlight her. I had to. All right. Be back soon.